The criminal case linked to the suicide of a gay student at Rutgers University got underway today. Ray Suarez has the story.
This was the day for opening statements in the trial of Daroun Ravi. Prosecutors went first in a courtroom in New Brunswick, New Jersey.
This isn't about Daroun Ravi having to like Tyler Clementi's sexual orientation or having to like the nature of his private sexual activity, but it is about having the decency to respect it and to respect Tyler's dignity and privacy.
In the fall of 2010, Ravi shared a freshman dorm room with Tyler Clementi, whom he knew to be gay. Ravi allegedly used a webcam to spy on one of Clementi's physical encounters. Prosecutors say he also posted about it on Twitter and invited others to watch via video chat. On September 22nd, Clementi killed himself by jumping off New York's George Washington Bridge. The suicide sent Rutgers into mourning and set off a national debate about homophobia and cyberbullying.
So the tools of the internet enabled this cruel or sadistic behavior to be amplified and publicized, not just on the campus, but throughout the world. And that really contributed to the extreme emotional reaction that the student had and his impulsive decision to take his life.
New Jersey Governor Chris Christie called it an unspeakable tragedy.
And those people who helped to lead him to that bridge are going to have to bear that responsibility for the rest of their lives.
Ravi was not charged directly in Clementi's death, but he is accused of invading privacy, tampering with evidence, and most seriously, bias intimidation, a hate crime under state law. Now, though, there are growing questions about the accuracy of initial reports on the case. They were crystallized in a New Yorker article this month by Ian Parker. It became widely understood, Parker wrote, that a closeted student at Rutgers had committed suicide after video of him having sex with a man was secretly shot and posted online. In fact, there was no posting, no observed sex, and no closet. Daroun Ravi's defense attorney made many of the same points today as he challenged the prosecutor's claim of malice and homophobia.
I can't stand here and tell you Daroun didn't act like a boy or at times childish and immature. Just because we do something stupid or we make mistakes, especially when we're young, it doesn't mean we're hateful or we're bigoted, or we're a criminal.
The trial is expected to last about a month. If convicted on all counts, Ravi could get at least 10 years in prison.
We take a closer look at the case now with Jeff Mulvihill of the Associated Press. He's been covering the story and was in court today. And Emily Bazelon, senior editor for the online magazine Slate. She's also a research fellow at Yale Law School and is currently working on a book about bullying called Sticks and Stones. Jeff Mulvihill, let me start with you. Today offered the first chance for both sides to define Daroun Ravi to the jury. Tell us more about the different portraits of this young man that were offered in the opening statements.
Sure. The prosecutors portrayed him as being mean-spirited and criminal, whereas his defense lawyer really tried to build the case that maybe he was stupid in the way he acted, but he was acting like an 18-year-old boy. He kept referring to him as a boy during opening statements. And he used some student witnesses to emphasize that Ravi didn't have a problem with gays generally.
To prove bias intimidation, one of the counts New Jersey has brought against Daroun Ravi, do they not only have to prove that he bullied Tyler Clementi, but did it because he was gay?
That's right. That's what the standard of proof is for this crime. It seems like that's the big challenge. And that was really the issue that both sides were working on in court, was the prosecutors were doing all they could to show that he was anti-gay, and defense lawyers are trying to get witnesses to say that he wasn't.
This is a case that, of course, got not only national but intense local attention. Was the courtroom full today? And who was there? Students, family members of all the principals?
Well, the family members of both Tyler Clementi and Daroun Ravi were present. It was a packed courtroom mostly because of the media, however.
And did anybody talk after today's court session broke up, or is it still early days?
It's still early on. Both sides seem to be letting what happens in the courtroom do the talking for them.
Emily Bazelon, let me turn to you. Does this case and the series of events that were described today by prosecution and defense illustrate the degree to which young people see no barriers in their lives between the public and the private and feel comfortable talking about both to people who they don't even know?
It does illustrate that. It illustrates how technology is changing the way college students and teenagers act and can make them very disrespectful of each other's privacy in a way that can then really turn around and boomerang and cause them a great deal of trouble.
At the time that this story first broke, there had been a spate of terrible stories involving what was alleged as cyberbullying and some early attempts to prosecute this. Are states working with an old statute book, a statute book that hasn't really been updated for this new age?
I think states increasingly are talking about electronic harassment as something that courts and prosecutors can address. And then the question is to make sure to do that responsibly so that states don't overreach and start assuming that the harassment is causing, in this case, is actually the assumption that it was causing a suicide, which was very much present in the initial media reports, but which there really is no evidence for. We really just don't know why Tyler Clementi killed himself.
Is that going to likely be a big part of the defense's case, that it's hard to draw a line directly from what Darun Ravi did to what Tyler Clementi did?
I think that will come up in a kind of undercurrent. Ravi isn't charged in Tyler Clementi's death. He's charged with invasion of privacy and bias intimidation, which are different, and I think that was a wise choice that New Jersey made in bringing the charges. And yet it's also clear that without the suicide, that this case probably wouldn't have gotten so far, and that the level of interest in it certainly was generated by that.
Jeff Mulvihill, what reasons have Darun Ravi's defense attorneys given for not taking a plea deal that was offered by the prosecution that involved community service, no jail time, and protection for Ravi, who's an Indian citizen, from deportation?
Sure. Their answer was very simple. They said that he was innocent of the charges. He didn't commit any crimes.
So what risk is he under now by going to a jury trial?
Well, he faces 15 different counts. The two most serious could get him 10 years in prison.
I understand you're standing in the rain. I will let you get out of the rain, Jeff Mulvihill. Thanks for joining us. Emily Bazelon, back to you. In all the talk about privacy, one person whose privacy so far has not been compromised but may yet be is the unidentified young man who was seen by Darun Ravi in Tyler Clementi's room. He offers a very interesting case of what may end up being collateral damage, doesn't he?
Yes, I think that's exactly the right term for it. He was not a Rutgers student, and so his presence in the dorm as this stranger was part of what got Darun Ravi upset that evening that he turned his webcam on. But this person, who we know by the initials MB, is not out and does not want to come forward publicly. And yet he was with Tyler Clementi, in these moments where his privacy may have been violated. And so his testimony seems like it's pretty important in the case.
The term bullying will be used a lot during the coming weeks, but is it one that can be, in legal terms, easily defined? Or will we see, in the way that the defense and prosecution handle their case, that it's really in the eyes of the beholder?
I think that's often true. Bullying is a word we throw around all the time. It means a lot of different things, and it's not a particularly good fit for what happened here. I mean, this is really a set of circumstances that are about privacy and disrespecting someone's privacy on a college campus, and they raise questions about what expectations students should have when they're in their dorm rooms and what kind of space they should give each other.
And very intimate circumstances for young people who, in many cases, are getting their first taste of life outside the family home.
That's right. And one of the very sad things about this case is that these two young people don't seem to have really gotten to know each other. They both looked each other up online before school started, and Ravi discovered that Tyler Clementi was gay, and Tyler Clementi discovered that Ravi was South Asian. And then they got to school, and they seemed to have really gone in different directions as opposed to reaching out to each other.
Emily Bazelon of Slate, thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much for having me.